Some people don't control others with strength, they control them psychologically. And the scariest part is, most victims never realize it's happening until it's too late. These are 7 dark psychological tricks people secretly use on you every day. The last mindset can completely change your life. 1. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most dangerous forms of psychological manipulation. It happens when someone slowly makes you question your own memory, emotions, or reality. At first, it seems small. Maybe they say, "You're too sensitive." That never happened. You always overthink everything. But over time, something dangerous starts happening. You stop trusting yourself. You begin doubting your memory, your feelings, and even your instincts. Instead of believing your own mind, you start depending on theirs. That's why gaslighting destroys confidence slowly. The manipulator gains control because confusion creates dependence. And the scary part is, many people don't even realize they're being manipulated while it's happening. 2. Love bombing. Love bombing feels amazing in the beginning. Extreme attention, constant compliments, fast emotional connection, non-stop texting, huge promises about the future. It feels like perfect love. But dark psychology shows this emotional intensity is sometimes used to create fast attachment. Because when someone overwhelms you emotionally, your brain can become attached before logic has time to fully evaluate the situation. Then, suddenly, everything changes. The attention disappears. The affection becomes inconsistent. The warmth turns cold. And now, the victim starts chasing the same attention they received in the beginning. That emotional shift creates psychological dependence. The manipulator gives affection, then removes it, creating emotional confusion and addiction at the same time. 3. Silent treatment. The silent treatment is emotional punishment disguised as silence. Instead of communicating honestly, the manipulator suddenly becomes cold, distant, and emotionally unavailable. No explanation, no conversation, just silence. Why? Because silence creates anxiety. The victim starts overthinking. Did I do something wrong? Why are they acting like this? How do I fix this? Eventually, many people apologize just to end the emotional discomfort, even if they did nothing wrong. That's how emotional control happens. The manipulator trains the other person to fear emotional distance. And over time, the victim becomes emotionally controlled by approval and attention. 4. Playing the victim. Some manipulative people never take responsibility for anything. Instead, they reverse the situation and make themselves look like the victim every single time, even when they hurt others, even when they lie, even when they create the problem themselves. They redirect attention away from accountability by creating guilt. Psychology shows guilt is one of the strongest emotional control tools, because good-hearted people naturally feel uncomfortable hurting others. So, the manipulator uses emotion to avoid consequences. Instead of solving the real issue, the conversation becomes focused on comforting them instead. And slowly, accountability disappears completely. 5. Fear of missing out. One of the oldest manipulation tactics is creating urgency and emotional pressure. People say things like, "Everyone wants this. This opportunity is rare. You'll regret missing this. Act now before it's too late." Why does this work? Because psychology shows fear weakens logical thinking. When people feel pressure, urgency, or scarcity, the emotional brain becomes stronger than the rational brain. That's why many bad decisions happen emotionally and quickly. Manipulators understand that people make weaker decisions when they're afraid of losing something. So, instead of giving you time to think clearly, they create pressure to make you react emotionally. 6. Mirroring. Mirroring is when someone copies your personality, opinions, interests, or behavior to gain trust faster. If you love certain music, suddenly they love it too. If you value deep conversations, they suddenly become exactly like you. At first, it feels like an incredible connection, but psychology explains why this works. The human brain naturally trusts people who feel familiar and similar. Similarity creates comfort. Comfort creates trust. That's why mirroring can create emotional attachment very quickly. Some people use this naturally in social situations, but manipulators use it intentionally to lower emotional defenses. Because once trust is created, influence becomes easier. 7. Intermittent attention. This is one of the most addictive psychological tricks ever discovered. The manipulator gives love, attention, and affection, then suddenly pulls away, then comes back again, then disappears again. Hot and cold behavior creates emotional obsession. Why? Because the brain becomes addicted to unpredictability. Psychology shows inconsistent rewards create stronger emotional addiction than consistent rewards. It works similarly to gambling psychology. The uncertainty keeps the brain emotionally attached because it constantly waits for the next moment of attention or affection. That's why toxic relationships often feel impossible to leave. The victim becomes emotionally trapped, chasing emotional highs that appear randomly. And over time, emotional addiction can become stronger than logic itself. The most dangerous psychological manipulation is the kind that feels normal while it's happening, because once someone controls your emotions, they slowly start controlling your decisions too.